Money is made possible by financial support from Old National Bank and Chicagoans like you. Thank you. Hello, welcome to In the Money. I'm your host, Kimberly Loftus, a CPA and Chicago Business Journal woman of influence, who is also a financial executive that is passionate about personal finance. If you've been tuning in, hopefully you've taken the first steps to financial empowerment, reviewing your credit report and understanding your personal balance sheet. Now armed with that knowledge and mentally prepared for the journey, it's time to start the next phase, the money mindset makeover. A money mindset makeover is not just about dollars and cents. It's about a shift in how you perceive and interact with money. It's about reshaping your attitude and habits, about money to create a healthy relationship with money, and as a result, financial empowerment and increased wealth. I have been through my own money mindset makeover. Growing up, my family faced significant financial challenges. Money was a constant source of stress, and scarcity seemed to be everywhere. I was scared to ask my family for anything financial because I didn't want to add to their stress, and in turn also became stressed about money. The belief that money is scarce and hard to come by became deeply rooted in me. Even when I became financially secure, I still worried about money, and so much so that my money didn't bring me joy. It wasn't until I actively worked on my own money mindset that things began to change. Overcoming the poverty mindset wasn't just about earning more, it was about rewiring my thoughts about money. For me, seeing my budget on paper helped me realize I could spend beyond a necessity without going broke. This freedom allowed me to be thankful for what I have while continuing to strive for more. When we come back, today in the living room, our guests will help you positively change your money mindset. As I mentioned earlier, today we're discussing positive money mindfulness. Our expert and licensed clinical social worker, Tamika Hill, will help further define what it is and how we get from a negative to a positive money mindset based off of who you are and not someone else's story. Welcome to the show, Tamika.
Thank you for having me.
Tamika, please give us some examples of negative and positive money mindfulness.
Well, I would think the negative being, actually, funny enough, I had a discussion with a friend today, and her mindset is she lives in scarcity. Even though she makes good money, she doesn't want to buy, well, no, I can't go on this trip because I can't afford it. Even though she can, but her mind is stuck when she was a child from, scrambling, so to speak. So that would be a negative mindset about money. A positive mindset would be recognizing, okay, I made it, but I also recognize that I still deal with these barriers and creating balance. Because the opposite, honestly, could be like, I'm just going to live on the wild side, and that's not healthy either. Just spending all your money.
So how do I know if I'm out of balance?
I always say your mental is a direct reflection of your money. So if you can look at your account, and your account is always scrambling, then you're not in the right mindset with money.
Okay.
If you're never looking at your account, guess what? You're not in the right mindset because that means you don't care. So I think how you're looking at your money and monitoring it and your credit tells you a lot about where you are in that kind of arena for your mindset, because you need to monitor it to some degree.
Okay. So getting from negative to positive. So if I have a negative mindset, give me a couple more examples of what negative mindset means to you when it comes to money.
When you don't have a good relationship with it.
Okay.
So anytime like you, because I don't want to just seem that people who don't have maybe enough money are always negative, because I know people who have money and still have a negative relationship with money. So it's not the dollar amount that makes it negative, it's how you actually view money.
Okay.
So I think I talked about, I had a patient who gets high anxiety around bill paying. That's not a healthy mindset with money, because you have enough money to pay the bill, so why are you so anxious?
Okay, so let's think about our audience and where they are financially and how their mindset could be. So if I start off on the lower rung of the ladder, so to speak, where I don't make a lot of money, I'm living check to check. I have anxiety because it's bill paying time, but that's okay anxiety because it's real. I don't really have enough money to stretch all the way around. But if I'm at a situation, how do I get from that negative reaction to things so that, hopefully I'll get past this eventually, but how can I get to a positive money mindset, given that it's not about dollars and cents, but how my mind deals with the situation? What would be your recommendations for that type of person situation?
Take your power back.
Okay.
Having solutions create power for us. So usually if you think about most people, even kids, when there's a problem and we have a solution, or we think we even have a solution, we tend to have confidence.
Okay.
So I would say first identify your problem and figure out several solutions, even if you are living paycheck to paycheck, right? Know that that's not an absolute. So I tell people, stop creating absolutes where commas should be.
Oh, okay.
Because too often it's like, okay, I don't make enough money. That's today. Is that next year? Is that tomorrow? No. But what are you going to do to help change that narrative? So, but if your mind, because we follow what our mind tells us, right? So if your mind is stuck on, I don't make enough money, and that's a period there, that's how you're going to follow. So instead, I tell people to sandwich your thoughts. It's okay to acknowledge the truth. I don't make enough money now, however, I will not always be here.
And what about someone who's in the middle? They, maybe they don't have the best budgeting, but they make enough money, but they're not living large, but they're in a negative mindset. What could you do for them?
And again, it goes back to you challenge your perspective of how you're looking at it. Like you said, they're not in a bad situation, but it's okay, depending on how that person feels about the money. So if they feel like, okay, well, I make enough, but I'm still not in where I want to be. However, I'm not going to always be here. What are some things you could take your power back and take control of, whether that's budgeting or accountability partners, or go sitting down with somebody to help you create a healthier budget.
Okay, so there's things they can do on their own, like budgeting, or with an expert, or something they can do with a social worker or a therapist to kind of help them navigate their money mindset. Now, how do I know I'm transitioning? Maybe I'm not there yet, but how do I know I'm making the right things to transition from a negative money mindset to a positive one? How do I know I'm on the right track?
Again, it goes back to your mind. So if you still, like if you're a people pleaser, you're not going to change overnight from being a people pleaser. So you have to first expose that you're a people pleaser. And then secondly, once you expose something, you have to become self-aware. Once you're self-aware, you can't be unaware. So now you got to take accountability. And that's when change happens. So even with that being said, so first we expose what are my negative thought processes, right? And then now when I think them, I have to be self-aware of that. So I have to say, okay, I hear myself being negative. But now, on top of that, you have to be accountable and say you're doing it now. And after a while, you're going to get tired of being negative with yourself, and that creates change.
I love that. It's like those are some powerful steps. So you first start off saying, hey, I have an issue here, recognizing I have an issue, knowing what those triggers are, and then being aware that you have these negative thoughts, but then taking action, be it a budget. Or what about positive affirmations? Does that help? Oh,
yes. So it depends on the person's personality. So, if affirmations work for you, you do that. If journaling works, you do that. If even just having an accountability partner to talk to, you do that, Now,
how do you find a trusting accountability partner? Like, how would you, because, you don't want your business in the street maybe. So how do you find the right person to hold you accountable when it comes to money?
So I have a 5-circle ring that I use, and it has to do with, it starts with the most intimate circle, and that's your intimate partner. That doesn't mean sex, but that means that's who you are safe with, that you can trust everything with. Then you have your financial person. That's the person you can go to for money, but they're going to keep you accountable to pay back. So that would be somebody you can trust to talk to, or the person who's your, what I would say, intimate friend. But then you wouldn't be going to like your security friend. So your security would be your protector, so to speak. So you have to pick a person you trust, but a person who can challenge you.
Okay. And how would you even ask somebody to do that? Like, what were the words you would use to ask somebody to be your financial accountability partner?
Have a real open conversation, because if you're choosing that person, 9 times out of 10, y'all talk about everything off the wall anyway. So you would just like, look, I'm trying to make sure that person has financial stability first. Right. Please, they need to align. Like I'm trying to get to another level with my finances. So I'm gonna create a budget, or we can create a budget, whatever. I just want you to keep me accountable for that. And then there'll be days where I might want to talk to you because maybe I feel some type of way about something when it comes to the money.
Well, I was someone's accountability partner, but I wasn't performing like they wanted me to on the exercise front. I thought I was doing what I was supposed to do. So how do you make sure that you both understand the rules of what is really needed for that person to be successful?
I think you have to tell that person your expectations out loud, not what you think. Because oftentimes I do an exercise with people too that says, okay, what does the title, and that when you hear title, so it would be like financial advisor, accountability. So when you hear that, what are you here? Write down the characteristics of that person, and then say, Kimberly's gonna be that. I need you to write down Kimberly's personality and characteristics and see do they align.
Now, when someone transitions from a negative to the positive mindset, do they ever revert back?
Oh yes, you definitely can revert back, because it's always easy to go to comfort. And sometimes, believe it or not, we are, as dysfunctional as something may be, because you've been in it so long, it's comfortable being there. In the beginning, when you're trying to transition, if you feel comfortable, you're in the wrong space.
Okay.
And once you get uncomfortable with that, then you start to get comfortable with the healthier behavior. But then once that starts becoming uncomfortable, that means you've slid back.
So I've transitioned. I now have a positive mindset, but I want to keep it because, anything can kind of make me go back. What would you recommend as a support group supposed to help me with that outside of my accountability partner? Should I be building that?
I think self-awareness is everything. Know your own triggers, because really, even with accountability partners, you got to call them in. So if I'm private or whatever, and I'm not calling you in, I still could be, slipping back into old behavior. So I feel like the more self-aware you become with your triggers, the more you could take power and control back.
So say, for example, my trigger is shopping. It makes me feel good. And I have a friend, that's a good friend, that loves to shop. They all know that I have this trigger, and I'm trying not to go to the mall to shop, but she's always calling me up, Kimberly, let's go shopping. I don't got anybody else to go with, go. Is that somebody, when I'm trying to transition to this positive mindset, should that person still be in my circle?
I was going to say, is that person your friend because they're not respecting your boundaries? So that goes back to, now I'm going to go a little deeper. Where's your self-love for you? Because self-love tells me, I always ask people, if you love yourself, let me see your boundaries. Who are you willing to say no to? So if you're not willing to say no to your friend who is disrespecting your boundaries, then you gon' slip back.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Tamika. When we return, we will discuss how to build a supportive environment for your new mindset. But in the meantime, take it away, Ben, on this important money topic.
Ready to graduate from financial high school? Let's dive into the A+ secrets of your credit score. Today, we're going to take a unique approach to understanding credit scores by comparing them to high school grades. Segment 1, credit score versus high school grade. Think of your credit score as your financial report card. Just like in high school, your financial GPA is made up of several key components. Number 2, payment history versus attendance. First, let's talk about payment history, which is a lot like your high school attendance record. Just as being present in class is essential, making payments on time is crucial for your credit score. For your credit score, this makes up 35% of your overall grade. Number 3, credit utilization versus homework. Credit utilization is like completing your homework assignments. Just as you need to complete your homework to succeed in school, maintaining a low credit card balance is vital for your credit score. Keeping your debt low makes up 30% of your overall credit grade. Number 4, credit history length versus graduation year. Now, credit history length is a bit like the year you graduate from high school. The longer your credit history, the better your financial seniority looks. 5, types of credit versus extracurricular activities. Types of credit are like the extracurricular activities that you participated in during high school. A mix of credit types demonstrates your ability to handle diverse financial responsibilities, much like juggling various interests. 6, recent credit inquiries versus quizzes. Finally, recent credit inquiries are similar to pop quizzes that you occasionally faced in high school. Each time you apply for credit, it can affect your score a bit. So like quizzes, apply only when necessary. Understanding the ins and outs of credit can make all the things that you desire in life a lot cheaper in the long run. So it's paramount that we understand these basics so that when you need to borrow money, you can do it at a much less expensive rate. If you have questions or need assistance, our bankers are here to help. Thanks for joining our lesson on credit today. And until next time, stay financially savvy.
Hi, I'm Bianca Cotton. On a new episode of Behind the Confident Smile, I'll be sitting in conversation with Janice Nelson.
Before then, it was just even the fear of finishing because I had been to school multiple times and didn't finish. Now I finish.
Join the conversation on CAN TV, cable channel 19, and streaming on cantv.org and CAN TV Plus app. Experience the power of community television.
Once you're in the process of creating a positive mindset, it's important to maintain an environment that supports the new you. Join us in the living room as DEI and financial expert Corliss Garner. Corliss knows all about building support groups, but first let's delve into why having a good support system is important. Welcome to the show, Corliss.
Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you're here. We just talked about in the previous segment the money mindset and how important it is to be positive, but we need to maintain that, and part of that is having the right support group. And I know you have some experience in building support groups. Can you kind of share?
Sure. I can just tell you a little bit about how I started thinking about money for myself and then how that extended to a support group. So I grew up here in Chicago on the west side of the city, a low-income community, so we didn't have money and didn't have conversations about money. I knew that my mother didn't make a whole lot to take care of the family, so we were a family that lived in poverty. I was always a kid that was good in math, so I went to school for finance and started working at this bank, and then just started to learn a little bit more about different money and financial concepts, but still not applying it to my own life, right? Just didn't have that kind of mindset. And then I ended up sitting for a professional designation, a certified financial planner. So I had learned so much that it was in my spirit to figure out how can I share this information with others. Thought I was going to go to community centers and churches and do all of these great seminars, and it really didn't happen that way. But started to get inspired by stories that I would hear about Money Matters, and then created like an email distribution group where I would just share a story and how I would approach a financial situation based on this particular scenario. So that's how I started to create a community around this space, really just being inspired by what I heard from others, taking my own learnings, and then in the meantime also applying these things to my own life.
So let's step back. You had said you were learning things through your job. So I call that exposure. You're exposed to things financial that you were never exposed to before. So what was that trigger to say, my coworker who maybe didn't come from poverty is doing this? What was that trigger for you to say, wait a minute, I can apply this to my own life?
When I got denied some credit.
Oh, okay.
I got denied some credit and pulled my first credit report and saw all of the junk that was on that credit report. And that really started me on my journey of my own personal financial awareness. What does all of this mean? How is it affecting me? How is it affecting my future? And what are the things that I need to do? So that was really the trigger point for me, just starting in my own house, right? Cleaning up my own house, and then learning from those mistakes of my own, of my family, and then being able to share that more broadly with my community.
And because you didn't have that education in finance from your schooling, you pulling that credit report was the first aha moment that these decisions that you made had an impact financially.
Absolutely.
And then you wanted to share that with not only your family, but what made you want to go beyond your family to share that information?
Well, it's information that I know particularly the Black community may not have access to, right? So for me, it was thinking about how can I take what I have learned and be able to share that a little bit more broadly. It started with the email group, and then this wonderful invention called Facebook came up, and I was able to create a Facebook group to do just that, to talk about money matters, to talk about things that folks have questions on. Oftentimes when you're speaking with someone who's in a position of financial authority, they may talk over your head. They may use terms that are not familiar to you. So for me, it was really important to use plain person's language around some of these topics, and that Facebook group gave me the medium to do that.
Now, how did you know what topics to choose, and how did you find the people to add to your email distribution and then your Facebook group?
Yeah, so I started with my friends, right? With my friends and my family, and asked them to spread the word. So they actually did spread the word. With respect to the topics, it was all of the things that I had learned about, right, in my professional career. So budgeting and taxes and retirement planning and things like estate planning, things that people don't think about, right? You go and you buy a house, or you may have a retirement account, or you may have some savings, and before you know it, you've actually amassed an estate. And what do you want to do with that? You need to be very thoughtful and strategic about that, and how do you plan for that? So these are some topics that people typically don't speak about, especially when you start to talk about death and things of that sort. Folks get uncomfortable with that, but I wanted to move all of those barriers away, to speak about it in a very fun, plain language kind of way, but in a way that people can really consume and hopefully action in their own lives.
Now, how do you know from forming this group that you're giving the support the people actually need it on their money mindset and their financial freedom journey?
For sure. I always approach it from the perspective that money is more psychological than it is financial. You can have a family of 4 that makes $50,000 a year, and they budget their money better than that same family that makes $300,000 a year. And what's the difference? How you think about the money, right? So that's the way that I always approach it. And then I approach it from a perspective of, what do you want to know about? Like, be really honest about what you know and what you don't know, because that's the only way that you can grow and learn. Again, remove the stigma from talking about money in a way that people can really share, they can open up, and then they can learn from one another.
Now, was the key to your success in that group the sharing piece, where people did feel like it was a safe space?
Yes, absolutely. People feel like it's a safe space. They can either share an open forum, or if you have something that you may not be comfortable sharing in open forum, send me a direct message, and I can proxy you, right? I can talk about that topic on your behalf.
Now, what would you recommend for someone who's on this positive money mindset journey? What would you recommend for them creating their own supportive network or group? Where should they start?
I think you can start in your own community. Again, just talking to folks in your circle, getting a sense of where their mindset is, right? And hopefully connecting with people who are on the same journey as you are. And then outside of that, the web is an amazing tool, right? You can search for support groups. You can go to your local bank and spend some time with a banker, just opening up about kind of where you are today, where you want to be tomorrow, and then starting that conversation down that journey. So there's definitely lots of options available for you to be supported and to also be a support to others in this journey.
Now, as we mentioned earlier in your intro, you're a financial expert, and you started a supportive group. What about someone who is not a financial expert?
Yeah, I think the same kind of applies, right? It's about taking those small steps to getting educated. Money matters can be a big looming topic, and people can get very intimidated by that. So my advice there would be, just take the small steps. As I tell people who may be starting a savings account or trying to build assets, you don't have to save $1,000 a month. You can literally save $50 a month. That's how I started.
Oh, okay.
It's starting with literally $50 a month. And then once that money is gone, you don't even notice it anymore. And then as you begin to become more sophisticated, you can do more, right? So you can take bigger steps, but just start. That's really, really the advice that I would say.
Now, is an investment group the same as a support group?
I would say that is different. Certainly the investment group involves you actually using your cash and you going in on investments and having common goals around where you're trying to go with those investments. There's an opportunity for you to make money. There's also an opportunity for you to lose money in an investment group. I think that support group, that financial support group is really about the mindset. It's about carrying you along the journey. It's much bigger than the investments. You will talk about a lot more within that support group. So yeah, they are very different opportunities just based on where you are in your journey.
Now, from your personal experience of building the support group, what are some of the stories that you can share that had a positive impact on people's journey?
Yeah, people think about how they can get their credit in order, right? And hearing from others how they went on that journey of building their credit. What did you need to do? How did you pay off bills? How do you make small tweaks to your behaviors in terms of paying your bills on time or paying bills in full to build your credit? So those are some great success stories just by having those conversations. Talking about an experience around estate planning, working with a family member that has passed away and maybe didn't have their documents in order, and what that experience was like compared to someone who did have their documents in order, right? And understanding the differences there, so being able to learn from that perspective.
And for those who don't know, what is estate planning?
Estate planning is the process by which you think about how do you want your assets to be distributed in the event of your death. So you have all of your life, you've amassed these assets, you have a home, you have investments, you have assets that you want to be passed along in the way that you want them to be passed along. So that estate planning process is actually you documenting all of that, as opposed to you not having an estate plan in place and the courts or the state laws dictate where your assets will go, or in a lot of cases those assets may fall into disrepair or go into foreclosure, and then your family or your community doesn't benefit from all of your hard work. So it's really a space for you to really be very intentional about what you want to do with your assets.
And do I need to have a lot of assets? Could I just have a couple of pieces of furniture, maybe some digital NFTs or something small, or passwords to different websites? That could be, is that part of estate planning?
Yeah,
too?
Your estate is your estate. Whatever it is that you have, what you have built is valuable, no matter if it's $5,000 or if it's $500,000. If I have built it, it's valuable to me, and I want to have a say in how it's distributed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I'm building a support group. We'll be right back.
I'm Rich Robbins, inviting you to join us for an all-new episode of Soft and Tender, where we'll be discussing how our fathers and father figures planted seeds of compassion that helped us manifest into the men we are today.
I see black fathers. I see them around. I see them in Inglewood. I see that.
I look forward to seeing you on Monday at 7:30 p.m. on CAN-TV cable channel 19, or stream live on cantv.org or the CAN-TV Plus app. Experience the power of community television.
As we end today's discussion on the money mindset, remember, it's not just about what we earn or spend, it's about our beliefs and behaviors regarding our finances. Developing a positive money mindset is a journey that requires dedication and self-reflection. However, you don't have to be on this journey alone. You have the support of the entire In the Money team, as well as through support groups dedicated to financial literacy and growth. Sharing experiences, insights, and challenges within a supportive community can be invaluable by holding ourselves accountable, sharing ideas, and providing encouragement to each other. This supportive network will help you stay on track, overcome obstacles, and reinforce positive money habits. The In the Money team is here to support and empower you every step of the way. So find your support network and use the tips shared to have a positive money mindset. Join us next week as we continue our journey to financial freedom for 2024. If you have any questions about today's topic or past topics, please send me an email to Kimberly@inthemoneyemail.com or follow me on Instagram @Diva of Cashflow. Remember, we are on this journey together.